Welcome back to Watch the Booker Man and to episode number 72 of Paul Heyman's TNA, and we begin tonight's show with a video package promoting the main event, and you'll see this throughout the night. We're trying to create a really big fight feel for this match, as it is, in my mind, despite the New Age only being a new addition to the roster, something of a trio's dream match. It highlights the performances of Charlie Haas, Shelton Benjamin and Kurt Angle in recent months, as well as the dominance of the newly arrived New Age. Since coming to TNA, Tyler Black and the Kings of Wrestling have been unstoppable as a trio, but face their toughest test so far tonight. Going back almost a decade, Kurt Angle and WGTT are ready to take the fight to Jimmy Jacobs. They know each other so well, and could that be the key to giving the New Age their first defeat as a trio? Following the video package, the commentators put further emphasis on that match. Before then, however, we have another huge match as the X Division champion Roderick Strong faces Kevin Steen in non-title action. However, if Kevin Steen can pick up a victory, he'll certainly do no harm to his claims to a championship opportunity, and he does just that. The match lasts just under 15 minutes. Not great, but it does get the crowd buzzing. A decent match described by the game, and Kevin Steen does pick up that victory over Roderick Strong with a package pile driver, and ultimately it is his physicality that makes the difference. He wasn't going to out-wrestle Roderick Strong, but the X Division isn't just about wrestling, it's about whatever you can bring to win a match. And he's using the same tactics that we're quickly associating with him: a gouge of the eye, a poke to the eye, a low blow. Whatever he can do without getting disqualified, Kevin Steen will do it, and he grabs the X Division Championship from ringside, taking it into his possession and returning to the ring. Steen stands over the champion who he has just defeated and makes clear his intentions are to take this title. As Steen does this, Jimmy Jacobs comes down to the ring. Jacobs states that Tyler Black is busy preparing for tonight's main event. He wants to send a quick message to the winner of the match. Jacobs says that Kevin Steen may have beaten Roderick Strong tonight, but Black has had his number every time they've faced. As Kevin Steen squares up to Jacobs, Paul Heyman makes his way to the top of the ramp. Heyman admits that both men do now have a reasonable claim, having previously defeated Roderick Strong, and he knows that Roderick prides himself on facing any and all challengers. Therefore, Heyman is making a three-way match for Destination X. Strong will defend his title in the return of Ultimate X. It's a decent segment. The key though is that Ultimate X returns, the first one we've done since the very first episode of this series. Almost 16 months later now, we will see one at Destination X between three incredible competitors: Strong, Steen and Tyler Black. And when I spoke a couple of weeks ago about rebuilding a new core of the X Division and hopefully seeing it rise to another level, these three guys were exactly who I was talking about. We then continue to promote our main event, a video package which highlights the impressive performances of the New Age since their arrivals in TNA. They may be newcomers, but they have quickly established themselves amongst our roster. Tyler Black has brought an innovative, fast-paced, high-flying style to the company, while the Kings of Wrestling have proved themselves as one of the most physical tag teams in pro wrestling, using strikes and moves that we haven't seen before in a TNA ring. We highlight some of their best showings to date: Tyler Black's impressive victory over AJ Styles, the Kings of Wrestling beating the Motor City Machine Guns for the World Tag Team Championships, but of course there has to be a highlight on their statement victory at Turning Point 2010, where the trio defeated the TNA Dream Team of AJ Styles, Jeff Hardy and Sting. And since their interactions with the group, Jeff Hardy and Sting have been missing from TNA. That is the impact that these three men have had, and that is what former Team Angle are up against. Jeremy Borash then speaks with that trio as they prepare for their match against the New Age. Angle reiterates what he said last week, while making it clear that he hasn't for 1 second been taking this challenge lightly. The World Heavyweight Champion says that he's been in contact with Haas and Benjamin every day this week because they know how important this match is to them, and moreover for the entire TNA roster. Together they have studied the New Age's victories over the likes of Team USA and the TNA Dream Team, and they're ready to face them tonight. The New Age have always found a way because they have always been the most cohesive unit in any match they've had. Almost a decade of knowing each other says that they've met their match in Kurt Angle and wrestling's greatest tag team. The second match of the night is a follow-up to something from the pay-per-view and last week's show, and it's Awesome Kong getting the opportunity to face Daisy Hayes. However, as we see straight from the off, Daisy Hayes wants nothing to do with Awesome Kong. Once the bell rings, Hayes is out of there, she gets chased around, comes back into the ring. We do manage to drag this out for a couple of minutes, but ultimately Hayes is able to get away and Kong wins by countout, not really getting the blow off or the revenge that she wanted for Awesome Kong. Clearly this isn't over. Daisy Hayes with a 27 shows that she's not really going to be up there yet. Obviously a 2-minute match isn't the best way to highlight her, but it is just showing that she wants nothing to do with Awesome Kong as this storyline continues to develop. Hayes now out of sight. Awesome Kong remains in the ring, furious to have missed that opportunity to get Hayes back for what she did at the pay-per-view. With a furious look on her face, it's clear that Kong isn't done with Hayes and the New Age, and it's not the best way, I suppose, to advance the storyline, losing heat with, I think, both the match and the segment afterwards, but we're just trying to put over that Awesome Kong is a woman on a mission, but nobody is going to want to come anywhere near her. Completely understandable. We then go to the office of Paul Heyman, and the man in charge is stood between, on one side of him, the Knockouts champion Sarah Del Rey, and on the other side, the tag team champions Mickie James and Tara. Heyman addresses the elephant in the room, and that is the domination of the respective divisions by the parties here in the room with him, and he says that he wants to try something different for Destination X. He watched Against All Odds and he saw that Sarah Del Rey was all too happy to have Daisy Hayes by her side, in her corner, to help her retain the title. So how about she does it again? Paul goes on to propose a tag team match at the pay-per-view where Daisy Hayes and Sarah Del Rey will face Mickie James and Tara. If Del Rey or Hayes pin one of the Knockouts tag team champions, they will win the tag team titles and the New Age will have another title in their collection. However, if either Mickie James or Tara pin the Knockouts champion Sarah Del Rey, they will take that title from her. Initially, it looks like Sarah Del Rey isn't into this. She's obviously concerned about the fact that, let's be fair, she's going to be carrying the newest member of the New Age with her, but Mickie looks to Tara. They're up for it, they want this opportunity, and perhaps looking to save face as much as anything in front of the man in charge. Del Rey agrees to the proposal, Paul Heyman doing really well in a decent segment that advances the Knockouts Championships storyline, and we will see title for title at Destination X. I've seen a couple of comments about how we're basically struggling for challenges in the divisions. I do have plans for Lockdown and Sacrifice and Slammiversary and beyond actually, but it's fair to say that in this month it's kind of a low month, so I thought we'd do something we hadn't done before. Sarah Del Rey at risk of losing a title to either Mickie James or Tara, and also on the other hand she could become a double champion, so big opportunity for her. Speaking of opportunities, we go into the X Division opportunity match which we spoke about last week, the idea being that 4 men will face off in each week of the build to Destination X. The 4 winners of those 4 matches will face at the pay-per-view, the winner gaining a TNA contract and a shot at the X Division Championship at one of the big pay-per-views in the TNA calendar, Lockdown. And it is Jack Evans who joins Kenny Omega in that match, defeating Christian York, Lindsay Dorado and Silas Young when he pins Silas Young with a 630 senton. Jack Evans carrying this high spots rated match shows that he was the right man to pick up the victory. Christian York struggling, largely I'd assume due to his overness not being there in terms of the X Division style. I know there's people who probably criticised Jack Evans' work around this time, but what can't be denied is that in terms of the flashiness and the innovative moves, he is somebody very impressive. The 630 senton, the perfect example of that, and he is approached in the ring by SoCal Val following his victory, and he's saying that he showed everybody that he is ready for the X Division. He puts over the 4-way match at Destination X and says that he is one step away from signing a TNA contract and becoming an era-defining member of the TNA X Division. He's somebody who I feel that, as part of the X Division long term, could well be somebody who, similar to Amazing Red in the role that they might not always be the strongest pushed, but he's really somebody who will impress whenever you see him in the ring. We let him not follow a script, that's why the text of the segment is quite vague, Again, if he's the guy who can go to Destination X and earn this contract, I do feel he'd be a great addition, and that 66 rating definitely gives me high hopes for him. Even if you don't win the match, he could well be on our radar. We then return to the second hour and focus on the other half of the main event, a video package looking at Kurt Angle and Wrestling Greatest Tag Team, just how they've been doing in recent months. WGTT, a great addition to the tag team division, put in incredible performances and picked up some very good wins. Kurt Angle is the leader of the group who holds the team together. Unquestionably now the best wrestler on the planet. He is the mentor of Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin, as well as many other people. Just his presence alone is enough to inspire many members of this roster, but it is Haas and Benjamin who he leads into battle tonight. Their first match together as a trio since 2003. The former Team Angle will have their work cut out for them against Tyler Black and the Kings of Wrestling. A bit of a clash of generations, not something that we've highlighted too much, but clearly we see that the New Age have their hands full tonight. They then cut the promo, Jeremy Brash speaking with them, and Tyler Black leads the group in the interview, explaining that when the fans chanted, "You tapped out at him last week," they made a huge mistake. The Impact Zone will regret that. That against all odds he did fail. He's man enough to accept when he's beaten, but last week the scumbags in this building pissed him off. Tonight there is no title on the line, but the New Age have a point to prove, no one more so than him. They have beaten everybody put in front of them to this point, but tonight isn't just about winning. They are going to destroy Team Angle and prove themselves as wrestling's greatest in the main event. So pretty much all of the talking coming from Tyler Black, and he does well improvising and gets a 74 rating, so a sign there that we can probably trust Tyler Black even more going forward in promos. Jimmy Jacobs standing beside him. Obviously he's still directing traffic, but he allowed Black to take the 4 on this one. We then get a poor wrestling match, but still getting a decent reaction from the crowd. The Beautiful People defeating Brooke Tessmacher and ODB in 6 minutes 21 when Angelina Love pins Brooke Tessmacher with a breaker bitch. Brooke, as always, is the weak link in these matches. It's not that good of a match, but we are just giving the Beautiful People a victory, and they celebrate that decisive win. Their moment is actually cut short as we get a vignette on the big screen, initially unrecognisable due to a change of hair colour. The woman on screen soon reveals her face, and it is a new look Madison Rayne. She changed her hair colour in reality around this time, and we're now going to incorporate that into her character. She has a smirk on her face, and we may not just be seeing a new look from Rayne, but a brand new attitude. The Beautiful People are confused by the interruption. Why now? Why just after their victory? And they're far from impressed with their former friend and stablemate taking the spotlight off them. Madison Rayne with a new start, a fresh look, and hopefully we can see her rebuild some of that momentum that saw her become the Knockouts champion. Cutting to the back, Bryan Danielson runs into Desmond Wolfe, who he says he's been looking for all night. It's interesting that now he actually wants to speak to Desmond Wolfe, he's nowhere to be seen. Just like he was nowhere to be seen on Evolve last Saturday night. Bryan questions why Desmond didn't return the favour for him when Danielson was attacked by the Forefathers. He gets it, they're not friends, but he just wants to make sure where they stand. Wolfe has been saying in the last few weeks that he's got Bryan's back, but when he needs him, he's nowhere to be seen. So can we just cut the crap? Wolfe seems to be trying to play some kind of mind game with him, and he wants to draw a line under it. Wolfe tells Bryan that if he took a second to think about it, he could have put 2 and 2 together and worked out that not only did they want to attack Bryan, but they also wanted to attack Desmond Wolfe, and they did that before they went out to the ring. Desmond Wolfe says that he has done everything that he can to prove to Bryan that he can be trusted. Now it's out of his hands. He's done what he said he was going to do. Bryan can either fight against the odds and go down as a valiant loser. Maybe his TNA career can end as quickly as his career elsewhere did, or he can harness their chemistry to put the Forefathers back in their place. Wolfe then walks off, leaving the American Dragon with something to think about. Is Desmond Wolfe finally getting through to Bryan Danielson, or will this continue to be an icy relationship? We then get a match which is almost just thrown in there, the story being that Alex Shelley is looking, as is Chris Sabin, to maybe break out on their own for a little bit. It's not the end of the Motor City Machine Guns, but having lost the titles, then lost the rematch. They've had to make the decision, do they try and build back up from the bottom of the tag team division, or do they see if they can maybe build some momentum in the singles ranks? That's what they're trying to do, and Shelley faces Eric Young, defeating him in 9 minutes and 10 seconds with a sliced bread number 2, picking up a victory with Chris Sabin not in sight at all. Alex Shelley celebrates in the ring. The commentator is just putting over what I said, having been decisively defeated against all odds. Maybe it's time they look at a different route. Shelley taking the first step successfully, and a segment just rated on his overness, getting a 70, is good to see. Quite a few months ago we were having trouble with Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin. We then get a promo from Mr. Anderson, and he's talking about a match on Evolve this week that he's going to be keeping a pretty close eye on. AJ Styles is returning to the ring after Against All Odds, and everybody knows about the issues between him and AJ, but it's somebody else that has caught his attention. AJ's opponent, Matt Morgan. He'll be there at Evolve to welcome him back to TNA. With that said though, there's no reason he needs to wait that long to speak to him. Anderson then takes out his phone and appears to make a call to Matt Morgan, heading off screen before we can hear what they say. He says hello to Matt, that's all we hear as he walks off, but perhaps a scheme coming together for Mr. Anderson. He improvises well, his catchphrase helping out as well in a decent segment as we go into that main event. An exceptional match, an 81 is good, the announcing letting us down, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. I was thinking whether I'd like to have been a bit higher, but an 81 for an Impact main event is really good, and you can see that Kurt Angle and Wrestling's Greatest Tag Team do finally hand a defeat to Chris Hero, Claudio Castagnoli and Tyler Black in 19 minutes and 47, so we give them the time to go out and have this incredible match, and you can see from some of the performances there, other than Charlie Haas letting us down, this was an excellent match, and it's Shelton Benjamin who pins Chris Hero with a pay dirt. Chris Hero has not been pinned yet in his TNA career. The first defeat coming at the hands of Shelton Benjamin. A really, really good match. Delighted with that overall, to be fair, even gaining heat to the storyline. He takes the fall, but Chris Hero, you really can't say enough in praise of him. Kurt Angle and Charlie Haas then join Shelton Benjamin in the ring. The arms of the three men are raised. A massive win for Team Angle. We saw them push to their utmost limits, but they showed exactly what they are capable of. Special attention, of course, has to go to Shelton Benjamin's incredible performance. We want the sort of momentum at the end of the match to come to a fever pitch where Benjamin is kind of all over the place. What I'd like to replicate is there's a sequence that Cesaro did in WWE. I can't remember when it was, but it might have been against the Wyatt family, and he was just doing uppercuts, running round, getting into the ring, back to the top rope, back outside. This incredible sequence that I've seen like gift a number of times, but we want hopefully Shelton Benjamin to do something like that to hopefully eventually, when he gets the pinfall victory over Chris Hero, get a huge pop for him, because we wanted this match to be significant. We spent all night building it up, and not only that, the defeat of the trio of the New Age, first one that they've had, we wanted that to feel like a significant moment, and hopefully Shelton Benjamin gets a huge shine from that. He's put down Chris Hero, a monumental victory and a huge warning shot to the New Age. They've had things their own way for a little bit, despite Tyler Black losing back-to-back pay-per-view title shots, but it is Kurt Angle and Wrestling's Greatest Tag Team who stand tall together to end the show. The New Age aren't going away, we know they're not slowing down, but tonight proves that that resistance is not futile, and TNA is not going to roll over. The New Age can be beaten, and it is these three men in the ring leading the charge. Not a great segment to end the show, but I think, yeah, it's a good episode of Impact. It's not one of the best we've done, but that main event is one of the best matches we've had. And also, yeah, we started with a really good match. A lot in the middle maybe isn't as good as it could have been, but the main event certainly lived up to that, and that's basically what this whole show, this whole episode is built around. Sometimes you can have a show that's great all the way through but doesn't have that standout moment. I feel that the announcement of the Ultimate X coming back after that Roderick Strong and Kevin Steen match, and then that main event which we built through multiple segments, comes together to be a really good show. Christian York leaving the company. It is of course Kenny Omega, Jack Evans and two other people in that match for the opportunity at the X Division Championship. We'll hear from Jack Evans actually as we go into the 10th episode of TNA Evolve. And we begin with a recap of the main event we just saw. We really want to put this over, and hopefully the extra viewers on MTV will see that also. Jay Lethal then defeats Austin Creed, his former friend, with that crossface that he debuted last week. He has these issues. We still see the heated side of him, but after the match, as Jay Lethal stands there, he's picked up another win, but he's still got that moody expression on his face. And Maria says, finally, enough is enough. They're getting married. They need to focus on the positives. He can't keep focusing his energy and attention on his bitterness towards those two. He needs to move on and focus on them. And she's hoping that she will get through to her fiance. We then get a recap from Impact, Jack Evans' victory, and then he talks about qualifying for Destination X with Mike Tenay, a better segment than his interview with SoCal Val on Impact. Mr. Anderson is then shown speaking with Matt Morgan before his return to the ring, and he's trying to build a friendship with Matt Morgan. He's got his back tonight. Hamada and Taylor Wilde then give April Hunter her first defeat in the company. As Hamada rolls up April Hunter, she gets caught off guard. She's a big, strong woman. She's shown that in the last few weeks and months, but tonight she was outwitted by Hamada and Wilde. After the match, her only response is to jump them from behind, Jazz joining in, so despite losing, it is Hunter and Jazz who are stood tall after the match. AJ Styles then cuts a promo on Matt Morgan, while also sending a warning to Mr. Anderson to keep out of his business. Unfortunately, as we go into the main event, we see that he couldn't do that. AJ Styles sets up for the phenomenal forearm. Mr. Anderson, understanding that AJ looks to have this one in the bag, takes AJ down, begins to lay into him in the ring, and eventually Matt Morgan joins in a 2-on-1 attack. Morgan seemingly not that bothered about his defeat, instead standing tall, his arm raised by Mr. Anderson to end the show, and perhaps the start of a new alliance between them. It's a 72 rating, happy with that overall, simply because it does go above the threshold that we need. Again, Evolve is something that's still a work in progress. It's difficult juggling everything at the minute, and I am focusing on Impact over Evolve, which maybe shouldn't be the case due to the viewers we get. But either way, I do think it's been another good week. That Trios main event will be the talking point, but Destination X is shaping up really well. Hopefully you'll join me next week as we continue that build to the pay-per-view. But yeah, thanks for watching again, and I'll see you next week.